Welcome back to the Cognac Jewellery School. Today we're going to be making a pierced heart charm necklace, like this one. Let's get started. For this project, you will need a heart-shaped cabochon gemstone. You will also need some bezel strip, a sheet of silver, I'm using a pre-rolled offcut here, but any silver sheet will do, a large jump ring, a small jump ring, and a chain. Start by taking your bezel strip and wrapping it all the way around your heart. Don't worry about the curve on the top of the heart at this point, we'll address that later. Mark the point where the ends cross over with the scribe, and snip away the excess with a pair of snips. File the ends of your bezel strip to a right angle with a needle file, so that they come together without any gaps. Place your bezel strip on a soldering block, and paint with a flux of your choice. Place one piece of small solder over the join, and solder. Solder will flow upwards as well as downwards, so don't panic if your solder falls down your setting. Keep heating and you'll see that when it flows, it'll run all the way up your join. Once soldered, quench in some cold water and pickle. Once pickled, bring it back to your bench and try it for size on your gemstone. Hopefully it will fit beautifully, but if it doesn't, you can always stretch it to fit. There's a helpful link in the description for how to do this. You'll notice that the setting fits around most of the heart, but it doesn't fit around the top curve. Now is the time to rectify that. Grab a pair of rounded pliers and use one side to gently push the silver into the groove on top of the heart. Now you'll have a setting that perfectly fits your stone. Remove the stone from the setting and start to tidy up the join with a needle file to remove any excess solder. Once you have a setting you're happy with, pop it onto your silver backplate and draw around it with a pencil or a permanent marker. You don't have to be super accurate here, but we will use the outline to guide us as we pierce out the design on the back. As we're using a heart-shaped cabochon, I'm going to use a heart-shaped stamp as a guide for the pierced design. You can, however, draw it freehand or use a printed design on some sticky back paper to guide you. If you're using a stamp, grab yourself a big hammer. Place your silver sheet on a steel block and line up your stamp in the center of your outline. Take your time to make sure it's lined up correctly. You have one shot here. Then think of someone you don't like and give it a really good wallop. What you're left with is a perfectly stamped design that you can use to pierce out your backplate. Whatever method you're using to create your heart shape, you'll need to drill a hole through it in order to saw it out. Use a center punch and make a dent in your silver sheet inside your design. This dent will help locate your drill bit and prevent it from skidding about and scratching your silver sheet. Hold it steady and drill a tiny hole. Thread a saw blade through the hole, making sure you secure the saw blade nice and tight, and saw around the inside of the design. Once you've gone all the way around, you should be left with a perfectly pierced out heart. Tidy up any uneven bits with some needle files, use a rounded one for the curves, and a flat one for the flat sections. Once you're entirely happy with your pierced heart, put it on a cotter pin, on a fire brick, and paint with flux. Place your bezel setting on the top, and then place a few pieces of hard solder around the setting. 3 or 4 small pieces is plenty. And don't forget to make sure that your setting is exactly where you want it to be, i.e. with the design in the center. Heat it up until your solder flows all the way around the join, before quenching again and popping in the pickle. Once you've removed it from the pickle, saw around the setting to remove the excess silver plate, staying as close to the solder line as you possibly can, while also being careful not to damage the fine silver walls of your setting. File off any remaining silver sheet using needle files until the sides of your settings are seamless. Now you can begin to polish the sides and remove any file marks. I'm hand polishing using polishing pads, but emery sticks work well too. Once polished, check that your stone still fits, and take a look at those wall heights. Obviously the setting is too high for the stone at this point, so we're going to file it down to the perfect height before soldering on the jump ring. Start by turning the setting upside down on some emery paper to bring down the overall height, before filing the setting height in line with the curves of the stone. As the stone is higher at the dent at the top of the heart and lower on the curved sections, I filed the setting to reflect that, so that when I come to set the stone, the amount of metal being pushed over looks even. Finally, we can solder on the jump ring. And in case you're wondering why we didn't do this before polishing and filing, it's simply because it's so much easier to polish and file settings without the jump ring getting in the way. And if you don't go crazy with the solder, there'll be next to no further finishing to be done after pickling. Place the smaller of your jump rings against the edge of the top of your heart and paint with flux. Add one tiny piece of solder and start to heat it up. As always, keeping a pokey stick on hand in case your jump ring tries to make a dash for it. Once soldered, quench and pickle one last time. Once pickled, your heart is ready for a roll in the barrel polisher to make it really shiny. You can, of course, hand polish your setting or use a pendant motor too. After barreling, your super shiny pendant is ready for setting. I like to put a pendant like this on a polishing pad while setting, as it stops the back from getting scratched. Starting with a pusher, move the metal over your stone a little at a time. Go around your stone a few times until the metal is pushed over your stone evenly, being really careful not to crimp the metal at the point of your heart. Once your silver is touching your gemstone all the way around, smooth it out with your burnisher, making sure you get right into the groove on the top of your heart, as you may not have been able to get to it with your pusher. Once it's set all the way around, polish up the sides with your white polishing pad, attach the final jump ring, thread it onto a chain, and voila! A perfectly pierced garnet heart necklace. Oh, it's Morris. Hello. Oh, everybody's here. That doesn't work, does it? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, and hopefully see you all again very soon.